Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this deep dive. We've put this together specifically for you, the learner.
It's good to be diving in.
Yeah. So today we're gonna try and untangle that feeling of emptiness. It's something a lot of us feel, right? That kind of quiet hum underneath everything.
That sense that something's missing or maybe just off.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
we want to explore, what that feels like, why it can get so overwhelming sometimes.
And maybe even how it could potentially point towards something, well, something like strength or creativity, strangely enough.
It's interesting you say hum. Like, think about that subtle feeling, the learner, that whisper you can't quite place.
Yeah, and how does it show up physically? That's often where we notice it first, isn't it? Maybe a tightness in the chest or shallow breathing.
Or just feeling numb, like you're going through the motions, even if life is, super busy on the outside.
Disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And look, we've probably all tried to fix it, haven't we? Or at least address it.
Oh, sure, the classic ways. Yeah, looking for validation outside ourselves, chasing achievements, maybe buying things.
Right, trying to fill that space from the outside in.
But often those fixes, they feel, well, temporary, don't they? Or they just don't quite hit the mark.
They don't really satisfy that deeper ache. Which brings us to that story you mentioned about Anna.
Oh, right, Anna. Yeah, her story is quite striking because, looking from the outside, her life seemed, well, perfect. Successful.
Got it all figured out, supposedly.
Exactly, but underneath, she described this persistent feeling of just nothingness.
Nothingness. And that really highlights what we're digging into here, doesn't it?
It does.
That maybe this feeling isn't about lacking something out there.
Right.
But maybe it's something in here asking for our attention, something internal.
Which leads us nicely to this really core idea from Gestalt therapy, actually. The power of just noticing, of being present.
Just being with what is, without immediately trying to change it or fix it.
Yeah. So maybe the learner, just for a moment right now, can you gently turn your attention inwards towards your body?
Just notice any sensations, tightness, warmth, coolness, tingling, whatever's there.
And the key is no judgment. You don't need to fix anything right now. Just notice it. Be with it.
This being with, that's really the foundation, isn't it? That's where we start to understand this feeling instead of just reacting to it.
Okay, so we've kind of touched on noticing that initial feeling, that sense of something being off.
Right. And we talked about how natural it is to want to, well, distract ourselves, to run from it almost.
Yeah, those moments when you suddenly feel that pull toward being busy or needing to buy something or check your phone again.
Definitely. That can absolutely be a way we maybe unconsciously try to sidestep what's really going on inside.
Yeah.
Trying to avoid that emptiness.
It's like we have this internal spotlight. Doesn't it feel like that sometimes?
Yeah, I like that analogy.
And we shine it on all the external stuff, the goals, the tasks, the problems we can solve.
Right. The things we hope will make us feel better, or at least feel something other than empty.
But what about the things that get pushed out of the spotlight? The feelings, the needs that end up in the background.
Well, that brings up that Gestalt concept of figure ground. It's quite useful here.
Okay, tell us more about that.
So, whatever we focus our attention on becomes the figure. It stands out. Everything else just recedes into the ground, the background.
Right, like focusing on this conversation, the room around me is kind of the background?
Exactly. And sometimes that nagging feeling of emptiness, it's like a nudge. It's something important in that ground, in that background, trying to get our attention, something we maybe neglected.
And often the body is where we get those nudges most clearly, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The body holds so much wisdom, the learner. Have you ever noticed how that emptiness feels physically, like really tuned in?
Is it like a heaviness, maybe in your chest or your limbs?
Could be. Or not in the stomach for some people. Or even just this pervasive fatigue that doesn't seem linked to lack of sleep.
Right.
These physical sensations, they're not random. They can be really powerful messengers pointing to emotions or needs connected to that emptiness that maybe haven't been acknowledged.
Okay, so let's say you do start to tune in, you start to feel it. For me, sometimes that's when the inner critic shows up.
Ah, yes. The critic. Very common.
Yeah, that voice that says, oh, you shouldn't feel this way, or what's wrong with you? Pull yourself together.
It wants to shut it down immediately.
Exactly. And it feels crucial, doesn't it, to try and meet that voice, not with more judgment, but with some kindness, some self-compassion.
That's absolutely vital because judgment just adds another layer of suffering, right? Self-compassion allows us to stay present with the feeling, to explore it gently.
And acknowledging the feeling, that can bring up ideas about responsibility, can't it? Like, am I responsible for feeling this way?
It can, but I think it's really important how we frame responsibility here. It's not about blame. It's not, this is your fault. It's more about empowerment.
Empowerment? How so?
It's about owning your experience.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, okay, this feeling is here, and recognizing that you have the capacity, the ability to respond. That's the root of responsibility in different ways.
I see. So it's not about being blamed for the feeling, but about having the power to choose how you relate to it.
Precisely. Seeing it not as this unchangeable fact, this dead end, but as, well, maybe an opening, a chance for growth, for learning something deeper about yourself.
That feels like a really significant shift in perspective.
It is. Because that's where we start to see the transformative potential within the emptiness itself.
Okay, say more about that, because emptiness and potential don't usually go together in our minds.
Right. We think of emptiness as lack. But think back to Anna's experience. When she stopped fighting that nothingness, when she allowed herself to just be with it, something changed.
What happened?
She started to experience it differently. Not as a terrifying void, but a space, openness. She was the image of like a vast open sky, full of possibility, full of light even.
Wow. So the feeling itself didn't necessarily disappear, but her relationship to it transformed.
Exactly. It shifted from something to fear and escape to something that held, well, potential, curiosity even.
That's quite a paradox, isn't it?
It really is. The more we push against the emptiness, the more trapped we can feel by it, like it's a prison.
Yeah.
But when we find a way to gently allow it, to be with it, it can become something else entirely.
Yeah.
Like a blank canvas.
A canvas for new beginnings, for maybe connecting with yourself in a deeper way.
Yes, precisely. But it's important to add, the learner, this isn't usually like a one and done kind of thing.
Right, not a magic fix.
No. Emptiness might be a recurring theme. It might show up again in different ways at different times in life.
Okay.
And each time it does, it can be seen as, well, another invitation, an invitation to engage more deeply with yourself, with what's present in that moment.
So if someone's listening and this resonates, what are some practical ways they can start to engage with this? What can they actually do?
Well, one simple, though not always easy, practice is just to befriend the pauses.
Befriend the pauses. What do you mean?
Those moments during the day where maybe things quiet down and that feeling of emptiness starts to surface. Instead of immediately grabbing your phone or turning on the TV.
Try just sitting with it for a few moments.
Yeah. Just notice it, breathe with it, see what happens without needing to make it go away. Another really helpful tool can be journaling.
Writing it out.
Writing to it almost.
Yeah.
Having a kind of conversation with that feeling of emptiness on the page. Ask it questions. What are you trying to tell me? What do you need? See what comes up.
That sounds powerful. Less like analyzing it, more like relating to it.
Exactly. And creative expression can be amazing for this too. Whether it's, painting, drawing, music, dancing, writing poetry. Anything that lets you express what's inside without needing it to make logical sense. Try creating from that feeling of emptiness. See what emerges.
Letting the emptiness speak in a way.
And don't forget connection. This isn't something you have to navigate entirely alone.
Right. Leaning on people you trust.
Yeah. Sharing your experience, when and if you feel ready, with a trusted friend, a therapist, a partner, that can provide huge support and perspective.
It's also probably important to remember that this isn't linear, right? It's not always going to feel like progress.
Oh, absolutely not. There will be days, maybe weeks, where it feels much easier to fall back into old patterns of distraction or avoidance.
And that's okay.
That's totally okay. It's normal.
It is.
Setbacks are part of any growth process. The key isn't perfection. It's persistence. It's just gently showing up for yourself again, bringing back that curiosity when you can.
So ultimately then, this feeling of emptiness, it's not just a negative thing to be gotten rid of.
I really don't think so. I think the learner, it can act almost like a mirror.
A mirror. Reflecting what?
Reflecting maybe the parts of ourselves we've sidelined, or dreams we let go of, connections that have maybe withered, the things that genuinely would bring meaning and fullness.
So the emptiness points towards what's missing, but in a way that reminds us we can fill it.
Yes. It reminds us of our inherent capacity for renewal, for meaning-making. That feeling of emptiness exists, perhaps, precisely because we are beings capable of feeling full, capable of creating meaning, purpose, love through our choices, through our actions.
Wow, that flips the whole thing on its head. The emptiness exists because fullness is possible.
It's one way to look at it, yes. It highlights the potential.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. As you sit with this idea maybe later today or this week, consider this. What aspect of yourself, what forgotten dream, what unmet need, what possibility might this feeling of emptiness be gently, quietly highlighting for you right now?
It's not just an absence. Perhaps it's an invitation.
An invitation, waiting for your response.